It's that time of year when people are searching for their first or next vessel, kayak or john boat. Plastic john boats have skyrocketed in popularity, and most of the people buying john boats are either first time boaters, bypassing the kayaks altogether, or previous kayak owners. However, I own both. These boats are not for everyone, and kayaks are certainly not for everybody. Now, let's cover a couple rules. I paid $600 from Tractor Supply for my Sun Dolphin American 12 plastic john boats. Add another couple $100 in for a 100 amp hour lithium battery. Add another $180 in for a 46 pound thrust Newport Vessels trolling motor. And since you do have a motor on the john boat, there is going to be about a $30 registration fee. All in, we'll have spent about $1,010. Now, to keep it fair, we need to compare it with a about $1,000 kayak. You can get pedal drive kayaks for about $1,000, but it's going to be a 10-foot cheaper hull, and we want to compare it to a high quality kayak. So I'm going to choose the classic Old Town Sportsman 120 paddle edition. You can get pedals for this price range, but like I said, I want to compare it to a quality kayak. I also own a fleet of Old Town Sportsman Autopilot 120, so I am familiar with these hulls and the quality. And to make it easy on you guys, I will link everything that you need to make a john boat move. The boat, the battery, and the motor in the link in the description. Anyway, first, let's talk about kayaks. We're going to talk about some of the major benefits that kayaks have over the plastic john boats, and of course, some of the drawbacks, and then we'll switch gears and focus towards the end of this video only on the john boats. Number one, kayaks are without a doubt just flat out far more portable. Now, not every kayak. My Old Town Autopilots weigh 156 pounds before you add the battery, yourself, boxes, electronics. I mean, I'm probably running close to a $200 kayak, so I trailer all of my Old Town Sportsmen. But when it comes to a $1,000 kayak, even if you have a pedal drive, it's going to be fairly light. And since it's only 80 pounds and 12 foot in length, 33 inches wide, you can throw it on the top of a car, a van, or whatever. They're really, really portable, easy to store. Slip them in the garage, flip them upside down outside your house. They're really easy to store and pretty portable. Kayaks of this price range are also going to actually have far superior plastic. They're roto molded. They're made of extremely durable plastic. And I know the Old Town kayaks can be a little bit heavier than their competition, but they are bulletproof. They're super thick, and a lot of $1,000 kayaks are just flat out going to be more durable than the cheap plastic boats. So if you're going to be dragging it down boat ramps, if you're going to be dragging it down to the bank, or in shallow rivers dragging it over gravel, then you're just going to want to straight up go with a kayak. I'll tell you right now, kayaks are for you. Also, with a paddle and a pedal drive, no registration. You don't have to worry about it. That's important to some people. I have 6 vessels that need to be registered. Not the end of the world, just something to take into consideration. This particular kayak has 4 high quality rod holders, ample dry storage, which none of the plastic boats have any dedicated dry storage. They also come with built-in tracks, which you can basically throw rod holders, cup holders, you can throw all sorts of accessories on there, graphs, and it just makes it really easy to modify your kayaks to a certain extent without having to drill any holes. And lastly, this particular kayak comes with a lifetime hull warranty. And also, it's just simple. You just have the vessel, the seat, and the paddle. That's all you need to make it work. Now, the downsides of a kayak versus a john boat. You're going to be paddling or pedaling at best. Now, paddling sucks. I have done a lot of paddle kayaking in my life, a lot of paddle kayaking fishing, and it just sucks. I'm not in it for the exercise. I don't find it fun. I'm not fishing ultra shallow areas. The only time it's appropriate is when I'm going on a shallow river float. Now, unless you only fish ultra shallow areas where you're going to be doing a lot of dragging, unless you simply like the exercise, and unless you're going to be needing to transport it way down a hill into a creek bank or whatever it might be that a boat is just too cumbersome, I can't think of any reason anybody would ever want a paddle kayak, especially if they're a fisherman. Also, there's limited room for gear modifications, and you can only take yourself. So those are some major downsides of the kayak. You are going to break a sweat at this price range. There's no motors included at this price range. Some people make their own DIY mods. That's fine, but you're still going to pay for a battery and a trolling motor. Also, these kayaks are easier to flip, and it is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you are going to flip your kayak. You will eventually dump. It might only be once a season, it might be every other season. But when you're buying a kayak for only $1,000, it's not going to be that wide. Even this kayak is 4 inches more narrow than my Old Town autopilot version. So unless you have everything strapped down, there is a real risk of every single time you are in your paddle kayak, you're going to dump and lose everything. Also, there's a limited range. Even if you're pedaling, you can only go as far as your joints, as your physical capabilities will allow you versus a motor where you exert zero energy. So let's transition into the plastic John boat. Some of the reasons that the plastic John boat is taking over the kayakers by storm. But before we get into that, I want to thank today's video sponsor, Twitch Pause. You've seen me in their clothing a lot on the channel and on my social media. And I'm not a big clothes guy, but I really appreciate fishing apparel. And this stuff is seriously the nicest fishing apparel I have ever had. In fact, it took me a week to work up the nerve to actually take it fishing because it is so nice. And you can't even tell that on the website because the prices are like $40, $45 for something like this. I think this is a $40 shirt, which is nuts. And you'll get an additional 10% off using code Greyson-10 at checkout. I will link them in the description. The shirts are UPF 50 and the hats are obviously really nice, but they're Richardson. And if you don't know, is my favorite type of hat on the market. Bar none, the highest quality fishing apparel I have ever worn. I highly recommend Twitch Pause. And it's probably one of the only companies that you're going to see me work with clothing wise because this stuff's legit. Anyway, let's talk about John boats. Now, the number one thing that I just want to throw out there about these plastic John boats is that overall, they're going to be less quality. The plastic's not going to be as durable. You're not going to want to drag these, in your garage. You're not going to want to drag them down boat ramps. You're not going to want to drag them over gravel. Yes, they're extremely durable plastic, but they're not as durable as those roto-mold, ultra rugged Old Town paddle kayaks. They're just flat out not. So it's going to be better for more open water and not just dragging it over things. Okay, next is there is just flat out far more space in a 12-foot John boat versus a 12-foot kayak. I mean, I can take an outboard motor, a full-size cooler, a bow mount trolling motor with a marine battery. I can take a camera bag, I can take a fishing bag, all of my fishing equipment, fish finders, and a buddy all out for a whole day of fishing, no problem. And for me, that is huge. Having that extra space, being able to take a full lunch, being able to take your wife or your buddy or whatever, that is a complete game changer for me. Plus, there's just more real estate for mods. The third thing I want you to know about these John boats is that you do have the option to go fast. So I have a bow mount trolling motor. It's a 55-pound thrust, and that's gonna push me around 3.5 miles an hour. I also have an electric outboard on my transom. It's gonna push us about 5 miles an hour. However, this boat is rated for up to a 6 horsepower gas outboard. And in other countries, it's actually rated for a 9.9. The US Coast Guard kind of dumbed it down a little bit in the United States, but a lot of folks have zero problem running a 9.9. You could easily push this boat upwards of 20 miles per hour. You're not going to go that fast in a kayak. I don't care what you do to it. Now, this boat is slightly heavier than the average kayak, but it's only 110 pounds and fits perfectly in the bed of my F-150. So I truck bed this thing all of the time. It's a lightweight and I have no issues. Now, although it doesn't come factory with any rails, it is extremely easy to modify. Every single mod I did, I drilled into it or stuck stuff on. I've got an aluminum flooring kit with hydro turf. I've got EVA foam all over the place, fish ruler, folding cleats. You can add your own rod holders, your own graph mounts, whatever you want. It comes factory with a bow mount trolling motor bracket, which is huge, and you can throw an outboard on it. So you can really do anything to these that you can with kayaks. It's going to take a little bit more effort because you have to put your own rails on there or drill your own holes or whatever you want to do, but they're extremely customizable. And lastly, it's zero effort. For the exact same price as a higher end paddle kayak, $1,000, you can sit there, turn your trolling motor on, go 3.5 miles an hour for hours. A 100 amp hour lithium battery will last you. I mean, if you go out and you fish for 6 hours and you just putt between spots, you probably won't even have to charge it but once or maybe twice a month, depending on how much you fish. I can have 3 full days fishing and still have plenty of battery remaining. 46-pound thrust trolling motor in combination with a 100 amp hour lithium battery, I mean, you're going to last basically forever. So you never have to worry about running out of power and you never have to exert any energy. The only annoying part is sitting on the bench, you just have to reach right there. So that angle can be a little bit uncomfortable, but in my opinion, it's a lot more comfortable doing that than doing this all day long. Personally, I want to focus on the fishing. I want to focus on the person I'm going out on the boat with. I want to focus on whatever it is I don't need to exercise, okay? I get enough exercise doing other things. I'm not trying to paddle or pedal here. So that's a huge, huge reason why a lot of people are jumping over to the John boat scene or just skipping kayaks altogether. But like I said, if you just want simplicity, if you don't want to register it, if you want to be able to throw it on top of a car, take it to remote places and store it easily, kayaks are definitely for you, and you will be very disappointed with a John boat. If you're looking to go fast, haul a lot of gear, and basically have a fully modified mini boat just like I do, with spot lock, with an outboard, with graphs, then maybe the John boat is worth your $1,000 and not a kayak. Let me know your additional thoughts and opinions in the description below. I thank you guys for hanging out. As always, tight lines and God bless.